third time is a charm. This is my third time recording it between the dog in the background and someone at the door. So hopefully this one goes through. Sorry if it doesn't. We'll start over. So this assignment is about conflict resolution. And I think it's important to look at how my conflict resolution styles have changed over the years and that they're different with each person. So with my mom, we always have had this interesting way of dealing with conflict, which I think a lot of teenagers and young adults have with their moms. So we, argue and then don't talk for a few days until we calm down and let it out. And then we both say, sorry, and then we move on. My boyfriend, on the other hand, I definitely have the avoidance style sometimes. As we move in together a little bit, I'm starting to realize after this assignment that I definitely have some avoidance style of conflict. I don't bring up, hey, I've done the dishes the past couple days, or hey, you take the dog out, I did it the past 3 days, that kind of thing. So it's important to reflect on that, which I have. I'm going to work on that. I've never liked confrontation, so I've always tried to avoid it, which I think is something that I've had to grow on, and I'll continue to grow on for the rest of my life. But with my little bit of athletic training experience, I have had a few patients and a few instances where I've had to confront a doctor or an athlete or a parent, and I've had to say, you don't have to do exactly as I say, but I would go to a physician, and that's kind of how I handled it, is not saying, I'm absolutely right, but it definitely is worth going to get a second opinion. I have had to step in and pull a few players from play, and coaches didn't like that, obviously, and it was big for me to grow, because a couple years ago, I never would have been able to go up to someone, especially someone older than me, and say, you have to listen to me. I'm right. Don't do it. You have to listen. But I think that growth has helped me realize that when it comes to working with a patient, you're a team. And there's this TED Talk that I watched. It's called Use It, Don't Diffuse It. And they talk about the importance of using both parties or the group's abilities and their strengths, and you use all of those together. And if you do have confrontation, don't let your emotions build up and let that be a downfall of your group. Work together as a team. Know that your person has a weakness. Everyone has a weakness, but work together. And I really liked the way that they put it. I also liked in the Staben video that we had with I believe she was a therapist. We had to go through some family counseling, and they taught us the same thing for how to handle a situation. And it was, when you're angry, it's okay to step away for a little bit, but don't let it fester. You have to come back. And you have to reflect on it together. So I think that that's important when it comes to my patients. If I put that in my notes and say that they're not doing it, or, they're not doing what I suggest, they don't necessarily have to do it the first time. But I need to make a note of it. And if I see that in my notes, week to week, that they still aren't making their changes, I need to have an appropriate way to address them and say, hey, I noticed that this isn't happening or this isn't happening, and decide whether or not I can continue to treat or if they would be better off with someone else. And while I don't think that's a form of avoidance, I think that that is a form of compromise, conflict resolution, because you're both, and collaboration, because you're coming together and trying to find a fix for whatever's going on. So that's how I think it's important to tie it in. And I will see you at Weekend Institute.